Yo, yo. All right, let's cut this down a little bit. We back. We back. So we left off yesterday. We had just finished all the sync tests, and now we have to do the async tests. Now the good news is the sync tests and the async tests are the same. They just exist twice. So we should actually be able to get through these quickly. All right. So let's just dive in. We do need to make sure we have our imports. We don't at all. Interesting. Oh, from test.conf test. Okay, so yeah, we need check geo is close, and we want assert response is close. There we go. Okay. So test geo positioning. Are we just doing the same thing we did? Yeah. Await our geopos. Assert. Yeah, so this is assert rest response, and all we have to do here is just add is close. Boom, that solves that one. This is interesting. Oh, that's geopos pool. Oh, okay. Wait. These are the different versions of it, so this should be fine. Test command, test geo radius with. Test geo radius with. Nameless. How's it going? I'm still confused as to why we have these -80s here. Because they're not everywhere. Like, it's not here, but it's there. Wild. Okay. And let me guess, they're just checking. Oh, they're just checking test 0.1 to 0.2. Oh, that's wrong. We're looking at width. Test geo radius width. Here we go. This is the one that we did. Okay, so this is the one that we added the parameterization for in the other one. Yep. Test commands, test async, test commands, test sync. Ultimately, we want to do the same thing here. So we're going to just do here. Boom, boom. Boom. There we go. Nameless, I hope you're having a good day. Good week so far. Hope everybody's having a good day, week so far. I'm gonna turn down the volume of my headphones. It's not loud to y'all. Show loud to me. All right. Why is this type hinted? Why is this one just randomly? Again, this is. I don't care if you choose to hint or not hint. My only request is that you do it consistently. So having this type hinted and nothing else is so annoying. Especially since I spent all that time yesterday untype hinting things. Not because I don't like type hints, but just because I don't know how I type hinted them to begin with. Hold up. Just made a coffee. Hey, I get it. I had my coffee earlier today. It's very good. I made a caramel latte. Caramel latte. Okay, so how did we do this last time? We want to let's split this so we can actually look at it. Yeah, because what we want is... I know we're doing geo... Yeah, GeoRadius and GeoSearch are the same. They're the same, so... Let's close that. Split these right down the middle. We're gonna turn all this off. No. Just this part. Oh, of course I call them GeoSearch here. So we gotta call these... I gotta remember how I did this last time. Alright, so we gotta do... So wait, how would I do this await here? Do we do await, GeoRadius, result equals like that? Did I do that right? I can never remember how you're supposed to do like assigning a value to an awaitment or an await thing. Invalid assignment target. Oh yeah, because we did this part here. I think it's still wrong. And then we get rid of that it? Okay. And then we add our if statement here. We do if with chord, georadius quargs. Then you do check geo is close, georadius. Six 084. Nope. Okay, that's fine, I guess. We'll just do that. And then we gotta go. We just remove this, I guess. And we assert. Boom. So we need to like cache this in up here. So to make sure these are the same. 488. Yeah, 488. Place 1, 0, 0. Yeah, okay. So sweet. This is all good. Get rid of all that. And then we provide our else statement. It just says it's the same, right? Yeah, geo result, and that's inside of I keep wanting to press JK because I have my Vim. So this is a bug that I really do wish VS Code would fix. They support NeoVim, but they don't support a Lua file. So you either have to provide your own custom Vim file, vimrc, which I could probably do. So yeah, I could like do this. I could just say like, just provide like a vimrc file. Oh, VS Code vimrc file. Nice, 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 nice. Let's actually do that. Let's just do that. Let's iTerm. We're gonna open up iTerm here. Sorry for your retinas. Okay, and then we've got touch.vs code vimrc. Oops. Expression buffer. I can't remember if it's the other way, if it's, if this is, if you, like that, or if it's the other way around. So let's just do that. Save, reload. Hey Keith, what's going on? What's going on? Let's run this update real quick. I just found out that VS Code has a vimrc file. I might actually make a video on this because it's like one of those like little things that, one, I didn't know it existed, so I wonder if other people knew it existed, and then two, it solves a problem that I've had over the last little while, in that for Vim I use a Lua file. That's what I called it, right? Just want to make sure this is what I called it. Why did I call it? Yeah, there's a dot there. Okay. Do I need like a NeoVim? NeoVim config file path. It's NeoVim path, vimrc path. Why did I? Yep. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, it's not picking up that file, which is really annoying that it's not wanting to do that, but it is what it is. All right, well, we'll come back to that. I'm trying to, let's get this figured out first. All right. And now we don't have to do this anymore. And yeah, we can just do the test no values. Okay. Beautiful. All right, so we got that one done. GeoRadius with GeoRadius store distance. GeoRadius stored, test GeoRadius store distance. Yeah. And then now we just need to check and verify that. Okay. There we go. Math is close, RZ score. That's what we want. Assert, await. Math is close. Z score. And then the other side of this. Cool. And we need to import math. You haven't heard of it having that extension either? I mean, so like, it's weird because I've seen, it was one of those things where like, once I started getting back into NeoVim, it made sense to be like, all right, I'm gonna use a Lua file. And like even if we were here and we did Valkey, yeah, Valkey Pi, this whole thing, we could get into VVI tests, test async IO, test commands, right? And this is great because I'm comfortable in this. I'm in my element. The only problem is my config file for this is written in Lua because I use LazyVim, and LazyVim is just nicer when it's configured in Lua. Actually, I think it has to be configured in Lua. Oh dang it! Oh, here we go. I was trying to see all of my errors. Test store with dis, and then we need GeoRadius member. Okay, so we've got so now we just need GeoRadius member. Whoa, what? There is no test GeoRadius member. What are we talking about here? I think IO. Oh, it was. That's weird. Maybe I can't type. Oh, Mike. Hey, Mike. Always good to see Mike. I'm curious on the open source stuff. Apologies if it's covered somewhere before. No, not at all. Not at all. How are you considering the forkishness of this versus Redis Pi, considering that Redis Pi is so actively developed? Well, Mike, my good friend Mike. I just keep saying Mike a lot because I'm actually excited that Mike's joining us for the stream for a second. This is tough. This is a tough one because I do worry a little bit about Redis changing the license on their third-party clients, on their their SDKs over time. So there is kind of that. I will say in full disclosure, the company that I work for, Ivan, is actively involved in the open source development of Valkey. So while my company doesn't explicitly tell me that I have to contribute to Valkey, they support me contributing to it. So there is that. Is there a world where I would probably suggest some of the changes that I'm suggesting in Valkey to Redis Pi? Probably, because a lot of these things that I'm fixing now are from the fork of Redis Pi. So it's kind of like if I'm doing this, there's a likelihood that the things that I'm doing now, the problems that I'm solving now, are problems that exist in Redis Pi. And that I don't know how comfortable I would feel contributing to a project that I can't determine the long-term open sourceness of it, if that makes sense. Like that's probably my best answer that I can give, is that like this product or this project, I can already see where this project is planning on deviating in some ways from like the Redis project in terms of providing support for things and not putting them behind a paywall. And I think that what that will mean is that the implementations of some of those features, eventually things will deviate. And again, it's also nice to be able to contribute to open source and get paid for it. So that's there is also that. So I hope that answers the question. I think one of the biggest things that I might challenge myself on here is, should I propose the same changes to Redis? I mean, I don't think there's anything stopping Redis from bringing these changes in-house, so they could see what we've done and contribute them. This is, I mean, it is licensed in a way that could probably do that. But I don't know. I'll add that question to the broadcast really quick, though, because I think this is a really great question. Like, just make this bigger. No, just make Mike's face bigger. Sure. Here we go. But no, this is a great question. This is also one of those questions that, like, as I have started contributing to this project in some ways, I'm kind of excited to see where we can take it and see, like, the things that we can do. But yeah, those are probably my big reasons. The biggest one being, hey, my company contributes to this actively, which means I get paid to work on this during the day. Not specifically to work on this, but it's one of the things that me as a developer advocate I can do. 2, Redis quickly changed their license, or I shouldn't say quickly changed their license. They haven't changed the license yet. They have announced the change of license. I don't know if I would trust the license to stay on Redis Pi in the future. So kind of those two things. But also, there's a very big part of me that has seen this code, looked at the git blame, seen that this is code that's, you know, been in here, so it's been in Redis Pi, that I'm just like, I look at it and I just go, like, not that it's bad. I'm not gonna say that it's bad. I don't think it's bad code. It's just more of like, there's a lot of code in here that I'm very much like, I don't like how this looks. But yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. It's kind of where I'm at with this. Okay, this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is that if I put my code, if I put similar code in 2 places, there's nothing stopping the maintainer from one in an open source, you know, capacity to take that code and put it elsewhere. I would encourage them to. I just don't know how much energy or excitement I would. Yeah. Oh, this is beautiful. No bad code, just choices we made when we didn't know better. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm looking at this code and I'm going, ack, but I'm also looking at it like, it probably could have, you know, been slightly better, I guess. Like, here's a great example. I'm looking at this and I'm like, should I parameterize this? Considering I parameterized the last one, I'm torn. I'm actually kind of, I'm really torn. The same test, I didn't do this on the last one, and I'll switch over to VS Code, just so that we can see it. Geo Radius member. Yeah, here I didn't. I just did the check geo here. Oh, I never changed this. Oh, snap. Yeah. We need to, well, one, we need to fix this, but By the way, Mike, this whole challenge in itself is an operating system, like, because of how, like, the 52-bit precision, not every operating system uses 52-bit precision for floats, which means that some of the answers deviate. They deviate in a way that's just close. And there's like one of these worlds where, like, in my head, I'm like, we should just do the thing of like, we're dealing with latitude and longitudinal values. We should just check them as latitude and longitudinal values. But instead, I'm just processing them as as floats. So I kind of made this test for like, hey, check the longitudes. Are those float values close enough? If yes, great. Now check the latitudes. Are they close enough? If yes, great. But yeah, this was, I was wondering like, what was this? But this should be, oh, I should have, this is what happens when you, I mean, this is exactly why I think there is no bad code, because as I'm like writing this now, I'm immediately looking at it like the function that I made yesterday. Did I actually create an assertion for it? Oh, I did. Okay. Yeah, I did add the assertion in there. So I added the assertion instead of just returning. That feels weird. This is a, like, Jay doesn't know enough about testing to have an opinion either way. But if I have this function that is doing an assertion, one, should it have assert on there instead of check? Should I just put assert geo is close instead of check geo is close? That's actually a really easy fix. If we just go here, we rename this, rename symbol, change all occurrences. And we could just do like, well, let's not do that. That's how we break everything. So like, should it be assert geo is close like that? And if we're gonna do that, do we apply the assertion here? Because I'm also looking at it, should I just return whether or not it's close? Oh, you can't just return whether or not it's close because we have to iterate through it. So never mind, I answered the question myself. Hooray, we answered the question ourselves. We don't need to, I do want to make sure that it did get changed throughout the entire thing here. Assert geo is close, yeah, it did. And did it also make the change inside of our asynchronous commands? It did, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Oh, also, what are we doing here? Nope, go away, you. Go away, you. Perfect. Sweet. All right, so yeah, I did like this assertion here. That doesn't need to exist like that. It just needs to be, don't need that. We can just do assert, geo is close, radius place 2, and that value, right? Yep, that value right there. Beautiful. Then we don't need that. I love it. We don't need, we'll actually put this in our conf test. Nope. Okay. I also can't spell. I don't know. That part I don't know. I don't know if the, we'll just we don't need that part. We don't need that part. That's all we need right there. Perfect. And yep, because we do that, We don't have to do that here. Same here. We don't have to write that twice. Assert geo radius is close. Assert geo is close. Then we don't have to do this part. Beautiful. I'm glad I found that. I would have been. I'm not gonna lie. They probably would have been like, "Hey, that's not. You did all of it except for this one spot." All right. So wait. I'm really mad that my things aren't working here. How do you get to a point where you're motivated to write tests? I'm avoiding it for a personal project that is now showing the size. So the best answer that I would give is write tests when you don't need to write tests. That way, when you do need to write them, writing the test is easier. I think that's always the trap that I fall into, is that I'm in a place of like, I don't need to write this test. And then I'm like, man, had I written the test before, modifying the test would have been so much easier. In terms of this challenge, naming things is hard to assert is something I'd use if the underlying call to assert could raise an assertion error. Yeah, so like, yeah, what I'm calling here could raise an assertion error. As far as this question, I think this is a great question, Keith. I think the thing for me was I was really determined to contribute to this project, and this was a thing that was sitting there that basically we were being told it's going to take a lot of time and nobody wants to do it. So I was like, well, I've got time. I don't have time, but I've got time, and I just started working on it. And I think you just treat it like any other challenge. You treat it like any other coding challenge, because originally we didn't think that this was a bigger problem than it was. Because originally we thought that there was only one operating system that had this problem, and it was like this old like IBM based operating system. So it was like, it's going to be really hard to test this, but it's going to be really hard to like validate that this works. But I had run into this problem and I was like, I'm getting failing tests and I don't know why. And at that point I was just like, oh, well, if I'm getting these failing tests and no one's saying anything, it probably means that either my system is doing something that theirs isn't, or I'm doing something that they're not. And then when I looked at what tests were failing and I looked at the list of tests that they were saying were flaky, they were the same tests. So then I was like, oh, now it's personal. Like now it's my system that's broken. So how do I fix that? Let's see. Mike says, my gut reaction for when to write tests is whenever I expand beyond a single file module that is more than 500 lines of code, since that's a proxy for complexity that's now harder to look at and debug. Huh. That is an interesting way of looking at it. I like that. I think for me, the first time I write a test is the first time that my code depends on like other code that I've written, which I think is probably a similar test. And I will say again, that's my like litmus test of should I write a test for this, of like, oh, hey, is more than one thing going to break if I do this wrong? If the answer is yes, then I should probably figure that out. I'm trying to figure out why this didn't auto-save. Oh boy, what are we doing here? What? I didn't change that. This has been an ongoing challenge that I keep bumping into, of like as I'm checking things don't want to save, and it's really hard to understand why. And a lot of this is, it's like things that I'm not messing with. GeoSearch result. Did we not save this to GeoSearch result? Yeah, GeoSearch result. Could not specialize type fixture function. Literal 0 is incompatible with type. Again, like I didn't hint this. Why is it yelling at me? This is actually one of the reasons why sometimes I do get really frustrated with VS Code, is that sometimes I feel like as I'm doing stuff, it's not. I mean, I get these. Where are these errors coming from? I'm not like, what? Yeah, occasionally, like, I feel like VS Code's been trying to add something in here, and when it does, it jacks up. Okay, so hold on. Let's run our single test. Actually, no. First things first, because I'm distracting myself. This is like the hardest part of streaming. While I'm teasing out a bug in a test would be a huge help, so I guess testing will be this week's project. Hey, anytime we can convince someone to write a test, I'm happy. There's so many little annoyances. Like, Mike, I don't know if you're still here, but this is the stuff that I'm talking about, where you have something that's like 2 years old, where they're like, we did these async tests. And I'm like, why are the async tests and the sync tests the exact same tests? Like, why would we not just create one sample of the test and then just call that test and just say like, await the results of that test? Like, I don't know the answer to that question, but I also know that that's not the thing that I've been assigned to fix. Which is like like that's the thing that's frustrating me here. But this is like one of those things where, like, test GeoRadius member. Should I take this and should I parameterize it? Because one, you're calling the same test 3 times. You're just calling it with different parameters. And anytime I see that, I think to myself, this should probably just be one test. Personally, that's like my immediate thought, was I see the exact same thing written 3 times with different parameters. And to me, that is like PyTest, mark, parameterize. And then we can do the same thing. GeoRadius quarks, expected GeoRadius result. And then we have, and we don't need all of those. We don't need all of those. We just need something ever so slightly. Barcelona is always the same. Place 1 is always the same. The difference is the distance and then the parameters. So that's one of the things that they said. The challenge that I have with that, though, is like, do you write the exact same test twice? Or would you not just call the result of that functionality? Yeah, that's what I was thinking with this, of like, everything here is exactly the same in these awaits, these assertion statements. The only thing that's different is from here back. So I could just do 1. What is this value? that value is the radius. So I could just say, go here, boom, open this up. We're gonna say radius is equal to 4,000. And that's it for that one. This is where I always mess up. This is a list of tuples with parameter 1 there, parameter 2 is the expected outcome. And the expected outcome here is going to be place 2, place 1. Boom. Next line. Radius 10 is just place 1. Yep. And then this would be radius with dis with chords, all them things with hash true. Split this up. Hold on. What just happened? There it goes. That's the best answer I've gotten so far, Mike. So I'm going to yield to your knowledge on this one. Because the last answer I got was kind of just, I don't know. Oh, shoot. Okay, so this one is a problem. It's not a horrible problem, but it's still a little bit of a pain in the butt. It may just be easier to leave it as is. I'm just thinking with this because we've got test geo radius. Yeah, and even this one I didn't parameterize. Oh, this is the one I did radius 2, radius 1. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Again, being cute is fun, but I'm already having to do some stuff here. Because what I did was instead of awaiting this, or what I did instead of just asserting this, I did... Yeah. Radius place 2. Radius place 1 equals the return of that. And then we can assert both of these. So yeah, we can just assert radius place 2. No. Is that, we cut that part. And then we, oh. Sergio radius is close. No. Boom. There we go. All right. I'm gonna bring this back up because I want to listen to this. As to why not use async for sync. Ah, wait, no, not no. What I'm saying is, again, like as I'm just copying this code and this code, there's a part of me that says, why couldn't you just make this call here? Not this call, but like, because they use this all over the place. This is like added so many times. Why would you not just make all of this here its own parameter that you can pass in? Like you put it in conf test, and then from there you just call it so that you can do all the async stuff, but you would just say, just assert this part, just assert this bottom part, instead of manually defining it over and over and over again. Like if I go here, they define it again. If I go to the next one, scroll down a little bit more, I'm sure they'll define it again somewhere in here. Everywhere where there's like a geo thing, they define it. Yeah, it sounds like a PyTest fixture. And that's what I'm saying is like, I'm just very much like, this would be so much easier if parts of these tests were turned into fixtures and then you could just call that fixture. You could even do things like call the fixture once. You could make it a test wide or a session wide scope of that fixture. And then you're set. You're solid. Okay, assert geo's close. That's fine. And then you assert place 2, right? Assert radius place 2 is equal to that, except for we just check up to that point. Oh, and this is a mistake because this is actually assert that 0 to 1 is that. Boom. Let me do that. Cool. And then we do the same thing for radius place 1. 6A4. Nope, they put the wrong. Wait. Where did they get that number from? That, and then we can is equal to all right. So now we can run our invoke. We can do our standalone single test. And too many levels of abstraction. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. All the test passing? You're just testing across. Oh, whoa. What are all those failures? What did we break? What did we break? Test radio geo, or test geo radius with. Oh, no. Oh, that's an error. Cannot unpack non-iterable coroutine object. Uh-huh. Do I need to await this? Is that what that is? Like that? Since it's a coroutine? Okay. Let's rerun that invoke, but we'll pass in test georadius member. Okay, those both passed, which is good. Georadius store. There's also the fun challenge of we have a couple of things here that are like what's it called? Shoot, why can't I words right now? Deprecated. So like GeoRadius and GeoSearch, both of these things are. Wait, is GeoSearch not even used up here? I knew it. This is exactly like these are the issues that I'm complaining about right here, Mike. These are the golden problems. So history on this, apparently on Redis Pi, they changed the name of, they stopped using GeoRadius and they replaced it with GeoSearch. And GeoSearch has a bunch of different things in it. And it was designed to be like, GeoSearch is the thing that you do. That way you don't have to remember GeoRadius member. You don't have to remember GeoRadius store. You don't have to remember GeoRadius with distance. It's like everything is just in GeoSearch and it does the thing. But now on the sync side, they're testing GeoSearch and GeoRadius. On the async side, they're just testing GeoRadius. But GeoRadius is the thing that was let me just verify that. Let me just double triple check. We go to Valkey core. Can I not find core? Retry simple typing, utils, commands, cache backup, client. Was it client? Okay, you know what? GeoSearch, core.py, Valkey commands, def GeoSearch. So yeah, if we go to GeoSearch here, this should be used in place of the GeoRadius and GeoRadius by member commands. And now the thing that I'm really interested in is there an async thing here? Okay, so yeah. So yeah, it's like you're testing one thing, but you're not if you're going to tell me that it's important that you test in both the areas, then do it. That's what I'm getting at. That's what's making me frustrated, is that like don't feed me the challenge of, but we gotta test both of them equally, and then we don't test both of them equally. Okay, do we have fewer failures on this? We did. Okay, test GeoRadius store with distance. Now, what I'll do is I'll fix it and then I'll file an issue that says async is missing GeoSearch tests. And then I'll request to fix that. Which shouldn't be a problem. Okay. GeoRadius store distance. Okay. What was the issue here? Oh. Coroutine object is not. Do I just need to not await it? I bet I don't need to await it. Because the only thing we're really awaiting is the act of like getting the values. I don't know. Mike, I don't know. That's why I'm confused. Let's just K this, and we're gonna do what was this? Test geo radius stored dist. Oh no. Geo. Oh wait, why am I asserting geo? Why am I doing an assertion? I that part, because the assertion itself is the assertion. Yeah, I'd say Valkey execute command was never awaited. This might still fail. Yeah, I think it's still gonna fail. So Valkey execute command was never awaited. And is that the RZ score? Okay, so maybe we await, and we'll just call this Z score. We'll say Z score is equal to await r dot Z score places Barcelona, that whole thing. And then once we have that Z score, then we can just do these. And this makes me more okay with the idea of like, let's do the thing. Float type is not iterable. Oh, no. That's a problem in itself. Okay, so this is fine. We can just do math is close here because we're just doing the thing. We're not. Yeah, but 2 pass. There we go. That's my fault. The assert geo is close takes 2 tuples. It takes 2 iterables of tuples. It doesn't work when we do that. So this part actually, where were we here? Geo radius member. Well, it's, oh yeah. Oh, good point. Yep, there we go. Sweet. Yeah, this was not going to work. Which at this point we could do. At that point we can just go back to awaiting it and then do like the Z-score thing. I don't necessarily think it's important or not important that it's stretched out like that. Oh. What? Okay, well, it worked when we awaited it and got it, so bam, there we go. We're just bring it back. If it ain't broke, which it was broke. Oh, this is the wrong one. GeoRadius, we're looking at GeoRadius store distance. Store distance, yeah, here we go. Okay, yeah, we did the right thing here. We didn't change that. All right, so that one's good. Oh, I could have just did test geo, right? Okay, boom. Test geo, go. There we go. Test GeoRadius with single GeoRadius 3. Okay, so single radius GeoRadius Quarks 3, expected GeoRadius result 3. Okay, so that's just one of the GeoRadius with here. One of these was wrong, and they said it was 3, so 0, 1, 2, 3. With distance with hash. Huh. What's the actual error? Place 1 at index 0. Hold up. Where are we at? With distance with hash, right? So that's what we get. With distance with hash, and we get place 1, we get the distance, and then we get the hash. That seems correct. I'll move my, struggling to see here. Okay. Which one was this? This is with distance with hash. That's this one, right here. Wait, why are we including place 1 on this? With distance with hash. Distance is 08111 or 0881. Okay. So you're telling me that the error was in the else statement, which is correct because there was no with chord passed. Oh. Yeah. No. That's why. Why did all the other ones pass? That's just weird. It should have just been that. Run it back. Test geo. All the tests are passing. Okay. Now why are you broken? I'm gonna close you. Close this, close this. We go to our synchronous commands. Nope, that's the async commands. We go to our sync commands. We changed the name there. What else was different? Right? We've renamed that. Yeah. That doesn't change anything, right? Can I specialize? I mean, okay. You don't need to specialize the type. We don't care about that though. Is that why you're complaining? Is that yeah. That's wild. Okay. All right, so we're going to just test we'll get rid of the test async IO. We'll test all of those, test all the geo tests, and I just want to see one error. Assert check geo list radius zip. Okay, so 3392. Oh, yeah. Oh. Save. There we go. Because again, it didn't want to save it. And then there's an extra down here. Yeah? We good now? You're still saying no. But you ran. And you passed. Okay. All right. Now, we invoke our tests. And the reason we have to do invoke tests is because we have to test across all of our... I actually want to see what these look like. I didn't touch Test Connect. I just, for the record, I didn't touch Test Connect. That is failing on its own. That is a different challenge, different problem. I mostly just wanted to see if it was actually trying to write something. I'm guessing like it would write it and then it would like flush it, which is interesting. Yeah, see, it's writing from it's testing against the replica now. I didn't touch multiprocessing. I don't know what that is. That's not me. We'll see what those errors look like. Okay, so that's interesting. These are testing connection points, which are like, that's not me though. Okay. So I'm comfortable with this. We need to stash this change again. Okay, comp test. I don't know what to do on this, because let's see, updates to comp test, and we'll just pass this in. Updates to comp test, what did we do there? We renamed check to assert geo is close. And then we have here. These are the async tests. These are not the async tests. These are the sync tests. I would have to... no. These are... yeah, these are the... yeah. Cool. All right, so... update... assert is geotests. And then we have... oh, well, that's annoying. That's fine. That's fine. Because now what I have to do is I have to go into here. And then we're going to go into this hash. And we're going to go get rebase dash I dash dash sign off. Okay, cool. Because the thing that I've learned with them is that they're just not going to ever want to, like, they're like, can you put it all in one file? And I'm like, not easily, or not in one commit, not in a way that's beautiful. So I've just resigned to squashing. Pick update a search geotest. Wait, did I do this backwards? I did this backwards. That top one is the one you pick, and then these are the ones that you squash. Yeah, it's a combination of 3 commits. Adds is close to fakey test. Signs. Adds geocheck to conf test. Rename check to assert. Update assert is geotest. And that makes it all one commit. I can publish this branch to my origin. Really? Really, fam? It's not that they can't enable squash on merge. It's when they're reviewing it, they want to review it based on the commits. So then it became like this whole thing of like, they don't want to do the thing with the thing. Did they update the version? No. That's the... wait, they updated the version? Hooray! Setup.py being different makes me happy, because that means my other chain, my other PR finally got applied. Okay. So now let's go over here. Oh shoot, do I need to... I need to make hold on really quick. I just want to see this. Yes! Yes! Okay. Only because I'm excited. No, I want to see the change log. I don't care. My face is on here now. I'm happy. But my my changes, my suggested changes are now in PyPI, which means the thing that I contributed, even though my name isn't on it, which makes me really sad, is where was it? This one. It adds support for the Redis and Redis S protocol since they were the same. But this change got merged in with another change. Like it got combined with another change, which is why mine got closed and then like another one got merged. But that just makes me happy because that's the thing that I wanted to get added. So now the real question is, do I sync first? Because my main is synced. What's the word? Do I pull the changes from... That's fine. Don't worry about that. Do I pull the changes from main first? Or do I merge them in? Or no? I think I don't, because I think it would only add my... I think the PR only adds my changes, right? Did the Linton test pass with this change? Yes, because all I did was change tests. Do CI tests pass with this change? It says CI passed. That's 17 hours ago, though. Do I have to run CI on my own thing here? Can I run it? Eh? See, like this is what I'm get checkout main and get fetch prune, get pull upstream main, and get push main. Well, see, this is what I'm trying to figure out is should I merge my changes into main first and then push my PR from my main, or should I push it from my branch? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because I could easily go main, then my local main is in sync with upstream. Yeah. Get, yeah, mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine. See, that's what I was thinking. And that's where I was saying I should, in this case, so get checkout B JM geo flaky test. Yeah, we know that. Oh, yeah, my bad. Get branch JM. Yes, we know. It's just get checkout, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, cool. We got that. So then I should do get merge or rebase main. Wait. Nope. Quit all. Don't. No! Wait, the history might be fine. I think the history is still fine. Okay. Really, fam? Okay. See, this is why I'm confused, because now I have the history that doesn't need to be in there. Because I didn't need those changes. I hate so much of this. Contest, yes. Yeah, these are fine. These are all fine. Yeah, see, and like the only things that were changed were that. So this is wrong. This is not correct. We need to squash all of this into that SHA. You pick the commits in the Yes. Yes, Mike. Yes. How do we do this? How do I make it so that you can jump on this quickly? Here, let me well, hold on, because I'm gonna send you a link on Discord, just so that it's easier for me to give you this stuff. Maybe. That's what I thought. Why can I not? Okay, add friend. There we go. Nope. Friend request was sent. There we go. And then I'm going to send this link to you. Let's see if you can jump into this call. I've never tried this. Hopefully it works. Mike the man, you are now on the live stream.
What the hell?
I don't know what you can see or not see, but this is apparently like the Ecamm Live interview thing. I'm gonna slide over a little bit, that way I'm more centered in the call. How's it going, Mike?
Oh, wow. Look at that. We've got screen share flip there. This is weird because I've got you in one tab and then the YouTube stream in another tab. And the chat and latency between you asking a question or typing a thing and me responding and then you noticing it is quite high.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's good to know that there's a little bit of a delay, which is probably for the best when it comes to, since this is going to all of the streaming services. I'm sure that there's a, every once in a while someone will want me to buy cam girls on Twitch or something. I was like, well, no, I can't. That's not really not really the focus of this stream.
Fair
so
enough.
so let's first of all thank you, because the
Yeah, no
second you were
problem.
like, now we need to pick this, I was like, oh great. I was like, if I'm cherry picking from stuff, then it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, so what it looks like is that you kind of had your commit squashed down to like the single commit you wanted, but then when you were rebasing onto main, you were picking up three more commits. Then when you push those to your remote, that those are displaying in that scope.
Yeah, it would appear from the time that I started working on this that they merged another PR in between, and that's where some of this is coming from.
Right. So this is where like the commands that I was typing out helps me control the synchronization between my local development
Okay.
main, my GitHub based origin main,
Yep.
my upstreams main, and kind of coalescing all of those down into my local. So that way, when I have my branch can be branched off of a synchronized main. So when I open up my pull request, it only looks as this is the one change, my one commit from the upstreams main.
Right. So I guess the first question is, where do we start in fixing this if we're looking at this? Because ultimately what we want is we want one commit that has everything. Now we could alternatively say, if we split this into three commits, one that just shows the comp test changes, one that shows the sync test changes, and one that shows the async changes, that's fine too. That might actually be preferred. I just know that that's going to be a lot of history rewriting. And then basically anything that's a PR that wasn't written by me can
It's
disappear.
got to be out, right?
Yeah.
So I think the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that your local main is up to date with the upstream main.
Okay. So we
And I
could
don't
do.
necessarily see your screen
Oh, you
in this
don't.
thing.
Oh,
I
that's
see, yeah, that's something that I don't know if you have to share here,
that
because otherwise I'll
is.
just see it on the stream much later.
Yeah, let me. This is one of those things that, again, look at Jay trying to be fancy and trying stuff, and then also figuring out what that's capable of and not capable of. I'm actually surprised it will not let. I don't see a way for it to show me, to let me
So on
show
my
my
end, I
screen.
have a button that says share screen, but I'm guessing that's me sharing my screen
Yeah,
in the
you should be
Ecamm
able
Live thing. But I don't want to share my screen. I want you to
to.
share
You want to see my
yours.
screen? Well, that's frustrating. Let me at least do this so that in Discord I can. Will it not let me share my screen in Discord? It won't let me share my screen in Discord. That's annoying. What I'm gonna do is
All right, we're in another video call here.
the dual video call. Um, I've muted myself on in the Discord just so I can. At least this way you can see the screen. At least I think you can
All
see the
right,
screen.
I saw it for a moment and now it's gone.
Oh. Um.
It like starts sharing and then it disappears.
It is, yeah, it is just straight auto closing. Okay.
Maybe we're trying to do a little too much here.
Okay. And or maybe just Discord was very upset with me because Discord just crashed. Discord's like, I don't know what you're doing and I don't like it. That's really weird that it won't show you my screen from the call. They do have like a Zoom tie-in, but funny enough, I actually don't have a Zoom account. Only one on the plan.
It's all right. That's fine. All right. I mean, we'll just go here with slight latency, and I'll try and follow along on the YouTube stream when it makes it out there.
Okay. Let me close my door because my daughter apparently decided a musical is the thing to watch right now.
No. Don't want to get those different audio violations.
Yeah. If I got a DMCA takedown from Matilda the musical, I would be livid. Let me see if...
Be a good story, though.
I'm going to see if it lets me do it. I'm hoping it was just like an update that was like broken. Is it working now?
It made a sound, and it looks like it's trying hard to do something. Disconnected.
Okay. It is showing the screen in Discord, at least.
Okay.
It's also hard to follow my mouse in 3 places, so.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, wait. Oh, this is even more strange because I see my screen in 3 places, which was even more confusing. Okay. Yeah, if you are in the call, it is showing the screen. I just don't know.
Yeah, this one might be on my end where it's like you're using too much bandwidth or something like that. So
could be. Could very
could
well
be.
All
right. I'll drop that call and wait. It says watch stream. I can't watch your stream. All right.
Okay, I'll drop off of that then.
We'll save that bandwidth.
So all I've done at this point was I'm inside of my branch. My head is synced with Origin. So it looks like we are good there. And then I do have, a hash here if we want to just look at a hash and go, are these two things the same? But I can also just look at my commit message here and see.
Yeah.
See that
so really, we want the hash that starts with E60. That's your branch.
Yeah. Yes. So could we just do a pick of that?
So we could, but I feel like we could fix this branch
Okay.
as is. So I'm lagging behind on seeing your terminal.
Okay.
Which is fine. Oh wait, there was that one service that would do instant sharing of a terminal.
I am trying to think of what that is. I think I do know what you're referring to, though.
Yeah, I don't know if it still is alive or anything like that, but I dropped you a link in Discord what it was.
Do you use VS Code by any chance?
I do. Oh, that's right. You could do a VS Code share window, right?
I don't know if they got rid of it or not. Do you remember what it's called? I thought it was just called Code Share.
I thought it was called Live Share.
Live Share. Yeah. This is the problem. Got too many things they're doing. I do remember at one point, well, actually, before I say anything, I don't remember what's under NDA and not. So I will say at some point there were comments made about live share. That's all I can say.
Hey. It's a complex world we live in.
Okay, so join collaborative session. I'm going to just can I just copy? No, that's joining the session. I need to create the session.
Right.
Oh boy, here we go. Okay, let's close that. Reopen VS Code Insiders. Let's go into the Valkey project. Let's do a live share. Start collaborative session. Invitation link copied to the clipboard. So I'm going to go ahead and send that to you. I do think that this will give you visible. You'll have. Well, actually, I think you'll have both. So, please don't RMRF. You know.
I mean, this is the first time I've done this, so let's see what this does.
All the more reason to not RMRF.
Host shared a live share. Oh yeah, okay. You did share a live terminal window.
Yeah, so you should be able to both see and I believe you can see and do things. We don't need the session chat in that.
Oh, it is a read-only terminal.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
that is
probably for the
cool.
best. So yeah,
I can't see anything yet. Oh, that's weird.
What if I? Did you see that?
Might have to share. What is this?
Did you see the random ls here?
No, it's like I don't see anything. And again, this might be another. Oh no, there we go. It just came in. All
I
right.
just needed to create a new one. Is what it was.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Excellent.
yeah. So you're saying this second, the E60 commit is the one that we need.
Yeah, but first let's take a look at what our Git main, sorry, what our main branch looks like. Right, so you're behind origin main by 6 commits.
Which would be the changes that we just made.
Would it? Because why would they be on main?
Oh, good point. Good point. Oh, yeah, my local is behind. Yes.
And when you rebase your local against, when you rebase your flaky test branch against your local main, your main is not in sync with the upstream or origin main.
Okay.
So let's pull down. That is, yeah.
Okay. That's accurate. And I think we can even see, if we look at that. Yep. The thing I was looking for here was this version, because there was a version update.
So now if we check out your branch and rebase against the local main, we will probably only see, well, we'll see a few things.
Okay, so then we...
So you see how it dropped the the commits that already exist there?
Interesting. Oh. Yeah. Actually, it looked like it did what we wanted it to do.
Well, now it looks like it's missing your commit.
Well, this is my commit right here. Well, actually, is it my commit? Is there a way I can see the... This is the thing that always gets me with Git, is that if I want to do git diff, not git diff, but like git diff of the last commit. Like head.
Yeah, that'll do it. Oh, you've got some trailing white space in there.
Okay, this is actually good because I need to run black anyway.
Okay.
Should take care of that.
Yep.
I just wanted to verify uh, async test command. Okay, yeah. So this is good. Okay. Again, I only did things in tests, so I don't want to. I don't know fully what. Oh, path test does not exist. Do I need to do
It's tests.
tests? Good point. Um. Yep, that's good. That's good. Those are the three that should have been done. Diff. Okay. Looks like. It looks like white
You could
space.
add a dash B for white space only ignore to your git diff.
Dash B.
Yeah.
Like boundary, basically.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, wait, was it? Git diff ignore white space. Oh, sorry. Was it dash W? Yeah. Well, I can't ever remember flags. So you see, the only stuff here is formatting,
Okay. Cool.
like the white space or like the white space at the beginning or trailing at the word boundary are gone, but like a full line is represented near the bottom here.
Gotcha. Very cool. Okay, so this, frustrating enough, another thing that probably should have been rebased into the one.
Mm-hmm.
But this is easy because then I can just. Oh.
So I would not amend it. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's add a fresh commit and say, formatting or whatever. Yep.
And then, come on. Okay. Great. And then we do git rebase.
Let's do an interactive rebase.
Yep. Dash I head -1
Not head, but main.
main. Oh.
Because we still want to go against main. We want to ship our commit structure against main.
Okay. Ah. And then we would do.
For some reason, I can't see the top half of the window here. That's weird.
It's a pick. Um, it's the two commits at the top. One's a pick. Well, they were both picks, but I would basically just pick and squash,
Oh yeah, there you go. Yep.
and then in the message combination of two. This message is just all over the place, but that's perfectly fine. We can probably clean this up and just do adds is close checks to flaky geotest signed off by me, and then we'll just make this a nice little list. Yep, don't need that twice. Does the signed off have to be at the bottom? I don't know where the signed off has to be.
It's usually the last line of the commit message.
Okay, so we can just take this down all the way to the bottom and put it there. The signed off thing is definitely one of those that are a little that's new for me. Don't hate it, just hate how VS Code doesn't really appreciate it or make it easy to include.
Oh no, you need it above the comment lines.
I need it above the comment lines. Okay, that's doable.
Well, actually, no, that's probably fine as well, because the rebase should dump all of those extra lines.
Okay. Okay. So now. Okay. I don't hate it. I like it. Their change, all the stuff that they did. Just want to make sure there's nothing else in there that looks right. Our change adds geochecks to comp test, uses close to check float values, rename check to assert geo is close, update assert is geotest, and then format with black. Seems fair. and then we push that. Or no, that's already pushed. It's not already pushed. And this is where I got messed up the last time. It's like now it's saying I need to pull 5 down, but I need to push 1 up.
So this is where your your previous rebase incorporated the local changes,
Mm-hmm.
and then sorry, they didn't have the local changes, and then on GitHub you did a merge in.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the upstream changes in your branch. So now your personal fork, aka origin, has a copy of this branch that has commits on it that you don't want. So the way to override your branch is you force push. You say, my branch is the correct one, and I force push this branch to branch. This is another reason why I never touch the main branch of a fork, because if I'm merging in or touching the main, I've now kind of polluted the mainline upstream kind of logical history.
Okay. I like that. Okay, so if we can get push force, we can push force on our local.
So local now overrides origin, and if you go to your browser, you should see the impact of that.
Okay, heading to the browser. We do not want this PR, so that can go away. We can go to our flaky tests, and we look at the history. We have that change, and we have only that change, which is good. Before I just double check that, it does show us 1 commit ahead over main, or over
Which is
the
exactly
upstream.
what you want.
Yes. Okay, so I think we're good. So in the future, I just want to make sure I got the right pattern here. So in the future, I would make my commits. I would go over to main. I would pull from upstream. I would go back to my local branch. I would rebase from main to include all of those changes in the right order. And then I would push my changes to my local branch. And as long as I do
Well,
it in that
to
order.
your so you never kind of push to a local branch. You push your local branch to origin. So
Right.
your origin is your fork.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think same idea, wrong words
Yeah.
for me on my end. And yeah, as long as I don't push my local changes to origin first, I shouldn't have to push force. Everything should move in.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is one of those beautiful parts of Git is like at no point did we kind of lose any of the references, despite it looking kind of wonky or things out of order. We
Yeah.
still have the discrete change set that you wrote that you want to apply. It's just how do we make sure that the universe is kind of in synchronization? We didn't have to delete the branch. We didn't have to cherry pick it elsewhere. It's just getting things in the right order.
Very cool. And
Yeah.
and I mean we kind of already talked about it of like this. To me, the rebasing side of things is already one of those that are like, should you have to rebase all of your changes into 1 commit before you submit the PR? Where that's a thing that GitHub does, where when you
So
can
you mean
squash
squash?
everything. Yeah.
So the rebase, the rebase thing for the way I mentally model it is, the universe of changes is kind of moving. If we visualize it as a continuum of a line going downwards, right?
Yeah.
So the changes are happening, and if we have a fork point off, that's when we forked. That's when we started our branch, right? We branched off from that point. More changes are here. More changes are here. A rebase, scrolling up, a rebase is where I take my changes and I say I would like to rebase them, however many they are, on the top of or the tip of the upstream branch or main, right? Whereas a squash is I want to take those and I want to squash them down and rebase them, right? So GitHub can squash on merge and rebase it on merge. And we often rely on GitHub to tell us if there's a merge conflict, if the code isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Why some projects want you to have it up to date is so that way any kind of changes and your tests and new tests and code are all kind of being tested the same way. So if you introduce a new behavioral change that hasn't been tested in this kind of middle spot, then we risk breaking the main branch because that wasn't the order things were tested in.
I like this. Yeah. Okay, so Keith is saying once we're through all of this, can we? I'm hoping that what we've just said explains a lot of what we were doing. But for those that, and I might clip, I wish I could take like this as a snippet of a video that's like how to fix your weird mistakes in Git, part 8,679. The flow was helpful. It's a helpful way to follow it. Okay, so just for completion's sake, the mistake was twofold. Instead of pulling the changes in from main, I rebase them. Hold on, I'm trying to think about this. No, sorry. Instead of rebasing the changes from main, I think I merged them directly, which put them on top of my existing history and added more history to it. So where I only had 3 commits that needed to be there, I actually wound up adding their commits as well. So I had a total of like 5, plus the one that is the merge. So six total. There should have only been really 1, but 3 would have made sense. And then I would have at least figured out where I was. So what we did to fix that was we went to our local copy of main. We pulled from that because we pulled from upstream onto our local copy of main because it didn't have those changes. Next, in our branch, we rebased from main again. And what that did is it saw the commit messages and it basically said, okay, I thought the commit messages were up here. Turns out they were down here. I'm going to move these down here because they already exist in history. We can't have them in 2 places. So when we combine them, the top ones, the new ones get deleted. And I think that there's a command, there is like isn't there like a command for that where you can say keep the newer ones or keep the older ones?
Yeah, there's a couple of different merge strategies and rebase strategies, which the specifics elude me at this point because I haven't needed to get into those for a while.
I often tell people that if you're doing that with any regularity, it's time to change your Git strategy. Once history was fixed, then we were able to see that the linter things hadn't been linted yet, so I needed to lint, which is why I ran the rebase again, because ultimately the maintainers of this project, which is one of the things that I tell some of the folks when we're doing like Black Python does stuff, a lot of folks are like, well, how do I do this? And I said, well, it depends, and the biggest dependency is what the maintainers want you to do. Some maintainers are like, we don't want you to squash beforehand. My preference is that you don't squash beforehand because I want to see how you got to where you were versus just the end result. And then I'll squash once I merge because my history and your history can be different on branches as long as when you're doing new work, you're doing new work based off of upstream. But again, everybody does things different. This project particularly, they like to see, in reality, they like to see individual changes, like they go through the commits and they review the changes by commit. So if I have a bunch of changes all over the place in different commits, they're going to look at it and they go, this is really hard to follow commit by commit. The easiest way would be to either crunch them all into one and then I can look at it. Or as I mentioned before, one of the things that I considered doing is cherry picking the changes based off of the file into their own commit. So then you basically have updated conf test, all the conf test changes, updated, sync tests, all the sync test changes, update all the async test changes. If they ask me to do that, I'll do it. For now, I'm going to send them a PR that says, hey, I did what you asked. I applied, I've fixed these flaky tests, which is funny because in doing so, I have like 3 new issues that I want to bring up, which I'm sure most of them will be like, yeah, sure, that's great. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think that's really clear and kind of good messaging of it depends on the maintainers, right?
Yeah.
Many open source projects will have a contributor guideline in their repository.
Yes.
GitHub recommends how to like add that as part of their community engagement. I don't know if this one has that, but if it doesn't, that's something to add and say, here's how we would like to see contributions. So that way new contributors have something to look at.
So it does. The challenge with it, though, is it talks about the sign off, which is great. It talks about your first contribution. Yep, create your own fork, do changes in your fork. Yep, perfect. Create virtual environment, pip install, do the thing. Also great. The whole using of invoke is a thing, but I get why they're invoking. They have a Docker compose environment. Sure. They want you to test against everything. The thing I don't like about the invoke idea is that now when I test, I have to do invoke tests, but there is no way to add complexity to that test outside of like their thing. So what I did was I have a change stashed, which is another invoke command that is invoke standalone test that I just, whenever I need it, I just apply from that stash. I test what I need to test, and then I stash it right back. So
yeah,
then that's one of the things that I'm like, I need to file an issue for this. That's just like create a way to test standalone and with options. One option would be to use a new invoke test command. By the way, here it is. And then the other one would be like modify the existing test command to be more flexible and actually take keyword arguments to accept PyTest keyword arguments, which would also be relatively easy. But yeah, they don't ever really talk about the commit stuff. And I'm guessing a lot of that is based on this still being a very strong fork of Redis Pi. So I think a lot of the like preferences haven't been codified yet. They're more just like, this is what contributing says, so do that. For instance, my first contribution to this was there was a changes file or a change log. Did they just get rid of it? Okay, well, thank you for, one, they should have. There was like a changes like file that in here you had to like put your changes in the changes file. And I was like, GitHub does this already. And then
yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that you can kind of slowly improve over time. The fact that they have one already that tells you how to get started is excellent, right?
Yeah.
That's already better than not having it. Whereas, this is like, okay, you said you want, a single commit or a single scope. Like, how do you want us to write pull requests, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're getting feedback from maintainers saying, hey, structure this slightly differently, it's like, okay, I'll do that, and I'll write it down for the next person as well.
Because, yeah, this standalone test, like the standalone test, the cluster tests, I would just add a keyword argument here that's just arguments that you can just add your own argument string to and add it to the end. And like then you're done. You can do all the things.
Yep.
Um,
That's something I do over on Warehouse Codebase, where we have an environment variable we call test args, which is all
yeah.
caps, and you say test args equals and put in whatever arguments you want to pass along to PyTest, and all the machinery does it for you.
Mm, I like it. Very cool. Well, now's the fun part, which is creating a pull request. Did you have?
Yeah, like actually ship it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. You had some questions for me earlier. I know you were asking kind of about like the Valkey Pi project and the Redis project and stuff. Happy to answer any questions since I got you on here, or just general questions, I guess.
No, it was cool to see Ivan have a commercial offering for Valkey, which is always cool. And then seeing you say hey, I'm working on Valkey and part of my open source time. That's also very cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the big benefits that I love about Ivan is that if Ivan will pay for up to $500 a month of any open source contributions you make, as long as it's open source, and it doesn't have to be towards a project that we support or maintain. It can be any open source project, which is great because it means in some ways I get paid for things like Black Python devs, where a lot of our documentation is open source. It's in GitHub, and it counts, totally counts, which is really nice. Obviously, they want you to do that in your off time, but it also means that when they do get involved with some of these open source projects like Valkey or Postgres, then you're encouraged to use your work time to contribute to them. And also for those who are wanting to learn more about Valkey, you should check out this migrating your Python applications from Redis to Valkey Dev Center article that I don't know some developer advocate wrote. It was really really simple, and
Some
also
dude on the internet.
some dude on the internet. Which actually, the funny thing is now this is outdated because while you can use Valkeys, you don't have to. You can just keep your existing like Redis like protocol connection and it'll just work. And that was the other contribution that I made to the project, was getting that all in place. Um, but yeah, Valkey is a really it's one of the first times I think I'm on the other side of the fence on, because I worked at Elastic when the Elasticsearch license change happened and the OpenSearch was created. And now I do a lot of work in the OpenSearch space, not at all in the Elasticsearch space anymore, or not for any particular reason other than like, to me, the battle of purities on this is not a thing that I am a big I'm not here to put my opinions about who did it right and who did it wrong. I mostly just care about, okay, well, how do I use whatever I'm supposed to be using? But this time around, it was very much like, wait, Redis did what now? Oh, great, not this again. And then I have to. But if anything came out of it, I got to contribute to a burgeoning open source project. So there is that.
Yeah. And we got some good stuff in here, and some stuff you might want to again like put on the radar for this project is again the reason I asked about the forkishness is because like if you were to take this project and change it from setup.py to pyproject.toml and modernize the build system, how far are you willing to diverge from Redis Pi?
Yeah, that's a $1 million question, and I think the answer is they don't want to diverge until Redis starts forcing them to diverge. Um, and that's been a thing. There was a conversation about just preparedness for Python 3.12, 3.13. They were like, we should probably make sure that we support 3.12 completely in the next 6 months. And I was like, well, in the next 6 months, 3.13 will be out.
Yeah,
And then they were
three
like,
three
well,
twelve is out now.
yeah. And then there was like a conversation about like supporting, Python 3.6. And I was like, why? like we don't. And the answer was actually a relatively good one, is that Valkey is going to be distributed in some Linux distros, and those Linux distros are possibly not running the latest version of Python. Um, again,
Well, I don't want to get into the like, should you be using your system Python or not? Or, right?
exactly. There's a lot of like, but do we really want to? And like I had the same question when there was someone who wound up rating like a live stream I was on, and they were talking about how they have a project that they have to maintain back to 3.4, which is why they don't use F strings. And I was like, absolutely not. Like I have to draw
I
the
mean,
line somewhere.
I get it, right? Like there are lots of like there's a PHP system I still maintain for a volunteer project that's like stuck on an old version of PHP and an old version of MySQL, and it's like, yeah, we're just gonna keep kind of breathing life into it because nobody wants to take the cost of updating it. So for me, it's just a waiting game of it's going to die out, right? I don't need to invest further into it. But for
Yeah.
something like this, where it's like, okay, well, we want to be able to use Valkey on a newer system, it's like, well, then you should start to ask yourselves, is this the time that it's important enough to start kind of retiring those old behaviors, those old systems, and kind of modernize? Uh, Otherwise, you just kind of keep pouring it on the cost over time.
And that's one of those things that I have asked about, just in some of the dependency hell that we can run into, where even my own projects, when I look at something like Render Engine, like every decision that I make is a decision that I may wind up regretting in 5 years. And when I do that, of like, oh hey, I have five, you know, modules that are all dependencies now of Render Engine that make up the core, and how those things are built out. Now it's like, for everything that I need to. So now I have like 5 or 6 PyProject.toml files, which I don't ever see them until someone forces them to give up their setup.py. Well, and then I guess another question with that is like, the people who are working on Valkey Pi. I mean, there are 3 maintainers of Valkey Pi and 20 or so for Valkey, the core project. How much care and concern is there on in terms of deviation, not just from Redis Pi to Valkey Pi, but the Python client of Valkey versus the PHP client of Valkey, and so forth and so on. So like I can see how there is a constant like push and pull towards how much do we really want to implement new things or fix old things, um, because honestly, like, my goal is to eventually become one of those maintainers, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah, which is fine. Oh,
Oh,
handle that. Yep. All Jay's over there taking care of the fam. I'm here just staring at a wall. He'll be back soon, I'm sure. Keith, I'm glad that this provides some kind of motivation to upgrade for some of the old programs. I know it's not easy and it's not always kind of uh, given the importance that other systems have, but always sneak in a little maintenance on every ticket, every feature. Get a little in there, keeps things moving. Oh,
Sorry
there
about
you
that.
are.
My daughter wanted to let me know that we had a solicitor at the door who just like refused to walk away because they saw someone in the building. Like,
Yeah,
ah, that's fun.
lovely.
But
The
yeah,
what is that? The human version, the in-person version of robocalling.
yeah, I guess. But yeah, I definitely think that there's a lot of challenges that come in. And actually, you're like the person to talk to since you do so many warehouse things. Like, there's so many challenges just to what does modern packaging look like since everyone has an opinion. PyProject.toml seems to be winning, but then there's like 7 different ways to package your project with PyProject.toml.
So, I mean, this is actually a somewhat important topic that more and more people, you know, should be talking about. And there's tons of opinions, right? As evidenced by having lots of different tools. And the thing that I come to is the reason why we have so many tools is kind of good in some regard, because you should use the tool that feels good to you in your hand or that your project is comfortable using, your team, your ecosystem. Whereas, the important part is that we have standards and we have a process for, defining, discovering, and producing those standards, the Python enhancement process, or proposals, Python enhancement proposals, PEP. So PyProject.toml is the currently recommended methodology for all packaging related concerns, um, over setup.py. And one of the main reasons for that is setup.py is Python code. You can pretty much write whatever you want in that Python code, and some people do some sneaky malicious behaviors in that. And that's not good for the end users, not good for the ecosystem. So by using pyproject.toml, you reduce that entire class of problems down to zero. So that's good.
Yeah.
But again, that requires people to opt into it. The other kind of good part about having the PyProject define build front ends and build back ends is that they are all meant to have a similar kind of common interface. So that way, in theory, in any project that conforms, you could go in and say Python-m build if you have the build package installed, and it would build it based on whatever descriptions or definitions that are in there, regardless of, are you building it with poetry, are you building it with hatch, are you building it with, you know any of them, right?
Yeah.
So it's, how do I create this common conformant package that any installer can use? Because again, they're all using a similar promise or a similar contract of, this is what the package needs to look like at the end of it. How the bits get in there, and that's up to any kind of build or packaging tool.
Yeah.
So I think it's whichever hammer feels good in your hand.
Yeah. I think that there is that, like, I mean, granted, like my solution is one that I don't think anyone is doing these days, uh, which tells me that it might be the wrong one. I'm trying to remember the exact like pattern that I'm doing for like render engine is. And by the way, every time I mention render engine, I keep forgetting that, like, yes, I am one of 3 people that knows what this is. This is a static site generator that I built that is meant to be like a little bit of like Django class based views meets Frozen Flask, but has so many contributors to it now, which is really cool. But yeah, the thing that I'm doing is like just setup tools and setup tools SCM, and then letting GitHub, you know, SCM versioning do its thing. So I just push a tag. The tag says, okay, whatever that tag name is, push that as the version up to PyPI, so that I can, main can deviate from PyPI as much as it needs to. But then when we go, well, let's release a version, it's, git push dash dash tag 2024, whatever, it's July, so 7.1 or whatever, and then just goes, okay, cool, thanks, and then does all of its stuff. Um, but yeah, like I always see when people are like, yeah, you should just use PDM, or you should just use, poetry, or what. I'm just like, I kind of don't. I just kind of don't want that added. Like, I feel like now I'm like, oh, but then I got to do these other things, and it's
Well, I mean, it's all of these are valid because they exist for a purpose, right? And the question is, okay, if someone's saying you should use PDF, okay, why? Like,
yeah.
what will change? What will improve my either client-side development of the project, my end users, my contributors who already know how to do this? Like, what's going to change? What's going to make it better or worse?
I would assume that like more people would know how to do the thing is probably their answer.
I mean,
Uh,
maybe, right? Like packaging up the project and distributing it out to a registry should be something that most contributors don't have to do. Like it gets set up once and then you kind of get to forget about it.
yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. But yeah,
Like the fact that I think you're using what is it in yours? You're using the GitHub Actions, the trusted publishers. I think
yes, yes,
like that's already an improvement, right? But somebody had to do that, right? You had to go and change that. But once it's done, now you can just cut a release and things just happen, right?
that is a big. That was actually a really big thing that did change, was the, and I was surprised at how easy that was, switching over from Twine and having PyPI secrets inside of like your repo secrets, and then having to do that whole thing, to just being like, nope, GitHub's a trusted publisher. We're all set. Just do that now, and being done with it. That's great.
Yeah, that's one of those things that like once it's done is like, oh, of course, this is amazing. But the amount of like effort that went in to get there was, enormous. It's like it's really hard to make something look so easy. And it took lots of contributors, lots of people, a lot of time to get it there. But now that it's there, it's like, how could you not?
Yeah, but I mean that's the. I mean the reason you could not is because people hate change. Always.
Yes, there is that.
There is the
Yes.
like, I don't want this because I don't want this, and no other reason.
Yeah. It looks like your PR ran afoul of a linter error. And I wonder, did you run kind of the invoke linters locally before?
I did, and this is one of those things that I'm like, all the tests are passing. The high Redis situation is interesting because it's only failing on 3.9. Um, and then some of this is also just pending their approval. I'm wondering if they're having some issues as is, because I didn't change anything in which high Redis is involved.
No, this is just that one 3.9 standalone high Redis. The Docker compose command is not available on that platform for some reason.
Yeah.
That's a
So
weird
this
one.
is, yeah, this is, and this is where, like, I think one of the things that they had mentioned, like, they have a, nope, not, I'm trying to find some of the issues. They have an issue here for Unify REST p3, which I don't know what REST p3 is. Um, but they were talking about right now the action workflow for REST p3 and everything else is separated. It would be better to make a single matrix file, which I was like, yes, I'm a fan of that. I don't know what these things are, but I am a fan of, like, it would be good if some of these were better. Improve the way CI waits for containers to start. Oh, they just sleep? I mean, you could just do a health check. Um, Not sure what that health check would be, but I'm sure we could figure it out. Interesting. But yeah, that's that's one of those errors that I think I've bumped into before, and they were like, they saw it and they were like, okay, that's fine. Which again, it depends on who your, you know, who your maintainers are. Sometimes they're like, I need every test to absolutely pass, regardless of if it's your fault that it failed or not.
Yeah. I
Which
mean,
they,
that's one of those things where it's like it's up to you to define your maintenance interaction, your level of contribution. I personally hate it when we merge when there's a little red X. That just like little bit of OCD in me is look, there's something wrong. There's red X. That's bad, right?
yes.
And you know, the longer a project will do that, you get what's often known as like broken windows syndrome, where it's like, oh, it's red, we're okay to merge. You know,
False, yeah, the false sense of security in a broken environment.
exactly. So I think that that's always a challenge of, you know, the more test cases you add, the more test suites, the more test failures you are possibly going to get. And that you as a human are going to look at it and say, oh, that's okay. But then, you know, as a good maintainer, I think that's where you want to like add a carve out in like PyTest nomenclature, mark as like X fail, right? I expect this test to fail because I know it's broken.
Well,
Um,
and
you
that
know,
was another that's another pool. I wish maybe I should like, can I just see what my, is there a way for me to see what my contributions were? Not to point to my, it's more, it's easier for me to figure out the things that I made, the changes that I made if I can look at them. That
yeah,
way.
there should be under the three insights. Yeah, contributors. Not no, that'll link it to you. But if you click on the contributors title, like where you were, where you clicked on that face,
Yeah.
well,
Contributions, commits. Oh, I thought it was gonna pop up my name, but that's easy. I can just type my name and find it.
yeah, you're not on the top list yet.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
You're not. You're below the fold.
I just wanted to see the commits. Oh, maybe I didn't. Oh yeah, yeah. Updates, async tests have skipped. That was like one of the things where like some of the flakiness around SSL not available and inconsistencies across tests. This is, the test inconsistencies are really getting to me. Like I can't. And this is where like you know, Keith was mentioning like I don't know when to write the tests. For me is like I don't know when I've written too many tests, and I know that that feels like an oxymoron. Like, oh, you can't write too many tests, but like the reality is if you're testing the wrong things, or you're testing you're testing things in different places, then it becomes really hard to make sure that you're testing. I don't want to say that you're not testing things correct, but like when you change a test, like you're making it harder on yourself later. Like I absolutely agree in the world of like, you know, should we achieve 100% test coverage? Depends on what you call 100%. 100% of the code that I wrote, absolutely. 100% of the code that I depend on, no.
I hope that they have 100% test coverage, but
Yeah,
I'm not writing it, right?
exactly. And that's
It's the
where
whole point of
like,
using a library.
and this is where the question around like the sync async difference, if the underlying code is doing the same thing, the only thing that you're testing is can you do it within a coroutine. I feel like that tells you that you're testing, not that you're testing incorrectly, because I mean, again, it's really hard to test incorrectly, but are you testing the functionality or are you testing the expectation? And I think that the answer can be you test both, but I think you test those in different places. Like
Yeah, I mean this is getting into like deep testing methodology and philosophy, and kind of Keith points out here that it is hard to know that the test succeeds or fails actually test the code. And this is like, people start talking about test-driven development or TDD,
Yep.
right? So in some cases where you are starting out saying, I know that I want this feature or functionality or some little bit to be added, it's easy enough to write a test, run the test suite, see the test fail, and then say, okay, I'm just going to write enough code to make the test pass, right? Because then I have succeeded in doing the outcome that I wanted. But that's not always easy, especially when you're doing exploration, or in your case today, where you're doing test refactoring.
Yeah.
So I think it's oftentimes, a challenge to say, well, did I write the right tests? Well, delete the code, change the code. See, did the test fail? Right? If the test doesn't fail when you've changed your code, then it's not necessarily testing the thing that you thought it was supposed to be testing.
Yeah. And I think that there's this mindset of writing the test for the test's sake. And I think that that's, I guess, short-sighted of like, okay, it's similar to like, I'm going to write code that does a thing. And again, I talked about this before, like, okay, if every single, if half of the tests are doing the same thing at the beginning, we can create a fixture that just does that one time. One, it's going to do a couple of things. It's going to make your test run faster, because then it's just pointing to one instance of a thing instead of having to iterate through it consistently. But two, it's forcing consolidation of your code. Because again, like the thing that got me originally was some of the tests were testing the same thing differently. And I was like, I can I can get you wanting to cover your surface area of like I wanted to, like a good example of this is why do some tests use byte, like they use place 2 but it's like x86 place 2 and the other ones just say place 2. And I think the answer is that there was some value that was unicoded out that didn't translate well. They got put in there and it exists in all of these places, but there's no rhyme or reason to why it exists like that. And my thought was like,
Yeah.
even if they want to test, hey, can we accept Unicode characters in our name? That's a separate test. That's not a thing that you gotta test every single time. Just test it once, and if you know that it works, then we're good.
So I think that's again one of these like interesting open source questions, right? This library's been around for 15 years. It's had countless contributions by a variety of different people at different times, right? So I think there's definitely cases where it's like, unless there was a strong contributing guide that says here's how to structure tests, here's how to write them, and then everybody adheres to that as canon, then you have differences kind of creep in over time because people are saying, I need to test the thing that I care about. And the way I know how to test it is I'm going to add 10 tests to test for Unicode names in these different places, because that's where I found them to error for me. And this is where like you get a core maintainer as somebody who's more experienced with this code base and its testing methodology over time to say, ah, this is fine, this will do that, but I can now refactor these 4 places down into a single test that covers the unique case that I'm looking for, and then I don't have to run 4 tests.
Yeah,
I only run one.
yeah, and that's, I mean, I think
There are
this
ways
is,
there are ways to kind of suss these cases out. Um, if you're using the coverage plugin for Python, the coverage py,
yeah,
especially setting like branch coverage and showing coverage context and tracking, you can get an HTML coverage report or XML, whichever format you like. I like the HTML; it's very easy to read. That will show you for a given line which tests exercise that line.
Yeah.
So you can see, wow, this line has been exercised by 500 tests. Well, maybe we're over testing, or it's just a really low level core function that everybody uses.
How would one go about doing that? I just want to, because I'm almost certain that they do have. I'm gonna look for their dev require. Again, also, why do they have a requirements.txt, a dev requirements.txt, a setup.py with dependencies? I don't know. There's only one thing in the requirements.txt, and I'm like, I don't know what you are doing. Like it's async. It's actually
I
async
don't know.
timeout. Like what? Like there's a lot of these that like it's not even a matter of just like haha I'm all wise and knowing in the realm of Python. It's just like if I'm new to this project, I'm confused, and I know that because I was confused when I was new to this project. But yeah, I was looking at is there a way to look at my coverage? So they do have coverage. They run coverage. If I hijack their invoke again, which I got to remember how to do that. That's never fun. Oh, it's task.py. Tasks.py. I'm going to just go here, and then I can do this standalone. Where's standalone test? If UV loop run, otherwise that. So you're saying coverage report HTML. Maybe set that to HTML and do some HTML things.
You can, let's see. You don't actually have to change all of that. On your local, do you have a .coverage file? Not coverage RC, .coverage.
Yeah.
So coverage RC is the definition of, stuff to output, right? Or
Yeah.
kind of it's the configuration for coverage pi. But a .coverage file will be the compiled or output of the coverage that has been run so far. It should be a binary file, so you probably shouldn't be able to open it.
Or if you do, you're getting a mess.
Yeah. Do you have one of those?
Yeah.
All right. So you should be able to, if you have the tools installed in your local terminal, type coverage HTML, and it'll take that collected .coverage file, spit out an HTML report in htmlcov.index / index.html.
Okay. And you were saying that there's a way to modify or see what lines, what tests were.
Yeah.
So I see like statements. I don't know if.
So enter one of those guys. Again, I'm following your browser on a delay.
We're getting a. Okay, so I'm in my toggle lines missing. This is interesting.
Right. So the line missing, so like line 118 in this file, test commands, says that in your teardown, right, except attribute error is not exercised. So like we don't actually run that. So in your test case, we aren't hitting that condition of having an attribute error of our connection password. Which is fine, right? But that's in the test suite.
Yeah, let's find something that's not a test.
Yeah, let's find something in the code, right?
Yeah. Here we go. So raise data error. So like we're saying that there's no test for this data error being created. And then
yes.
Okay.
So that means that nothing in the test exercises all of those conditions,
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
right? So it's like, yeah, this code isn't reached by tests yet, right? So it
Huh.
could be it doesn't matter anymore, it's bad, or like it's an opportunity to kill it,
Yeah.
or this actually matters and we should test for those, cases.
See, this makes me want to like, because again, there's always this question around like how do I contribute to open source, and I'm always trying to think of like what are some of the easier ways to do that. Would it not be feasible to, I mean, again, not necessarily saying don't drive by spam a contributor with like 334 issues of like this value isn't tested. um
Yeah,
that that
don't do that.
that might be the wrong way to go about doing it, but maybe you suggest, and that can be a suggestion of, um I don't even know how you would word it, but like address gaps in test coverage or something like that, and say, hey, after running this, I noticed that there were many parts of the code that weren't hit with coverage. Is what would be the process of fixing some of these things, and then
Yeah.
taking their advice, whatever they say, oh, we'll get to it, and you go, well, I can help you get to that, or are there any particular coverage gaps that you want filled first, approaching that, and then kind of going from there. And again, this is where I feel like GitHub almost makes it more complicated now, because I don't know if that's a discussion that needs to be had, an issue that needs to be had. And the answer is just read their contributing document and put it wherever they tell you. Um,
Yeah. So in repositories that don't have a discussion, then open an issue and ask a question, right?
yeah,
Um, if they do have a discussion, see if there's discussion topics, if there's engagement there. Um, and then it looked like in Valkey that they even had a CodeCov integration at one point. That might be a carryover from Redis Pi. But maybe it's let's reestablish CodeCov so that way we can get the benefit of getting code coverage reporting on our contributions, come back to the uh, the 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 contributor, so that way we can see. All right, um, what was it? The pre-existing definition wanted 80 to 100%. So if you drop below 80, you would probably get a test failure.
yeah. Yeah, and in this, it's saying we're at 75%, and that's one of the things that I have been told about in the past. Of like, if you, and I don't have the code coverage commenter in Render Engine, but that's like one of those things that like I've looked at of, hey, we don't coverage is one of those things that I haven't been a big like, I'm going to enforce code coverage on this, because again, I think that when you start chasing code coverage, like, yes, that's good that you want the things tested, but chasing code coverage for the sake of chasing code coverage means that sometimes you get tests for code that
That
just
aren't
should
good,
not
that aren't
exist.
good
Yeah,
quality, right?
you either get bad tests or you get tests for code that, like, hey, this isn't covered. Well, should it exist is question one. And then if it should exist and it should be covered, then okay, let's write the test for it and let's make sure we write a
Yes.
good test.
Yeah, I recently removed, some test class, some regular class in a Python module that the only thing that was calling it was some tests, and it was like it was introduced 9 years ago. It's been sitting there ever since, and it's like it was never used. Nobody ever needed it. Just okay, let's gank it, right? So I think there's a lot of different ways to go here, because any kind of automated reasoning tools like Vulture might not find that, because they'll say this code is called, it's imported over here in this test case. And it's like, well, yeah, but it's not used anywhere in my in my application.
Yeah.
It gets trickier when dealing with library code, because library code is intended to be used by third parties. So your actual functions might not get called by internals, they'd only be called by test cases. So it's a tricky balance to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been sitting on
For
this. Oh,
for
go ahead.
contributions to like my own projects, I won't necessarily ask for like 100% code coverage, but you know, add a test that shows the behavior you intend this to have. Because if we write a test that at least tests the happy path, then I know what the kind of expressed intent of this code is meant to be, as opposed to the resulting, which is the code, and I have no test or reference as to what it's supposed to do other than the code itself.
Yeah.
And code changes over time. So,
Yeah.
all right, I got to get going. This has been a long, fun session.
Yeah, it has. This has actually been really good. It's quitting time for me too, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop my stream. And like I said, I need to figure out a way to like cut this second part into its own. It's like 3 videos. It's, Mike and Jay talk about code coverage. Mike and Jay talk about how to fix or gnarly Git issues, and then Mike and Jay just talk about the state of packaging in 2024, which I believe was a hot button topic this year. A lot of people have comments on packaging in 2024.
A lot of people have comments on packaging in 2023, 2022, 2021. Like it's a hard problem, right? And I think like not for nothing, Python is about 30 years old. The Python packaging universe is about 20 years old, right? PyPI.org, and in its current form is pretty slick. And Python is rated like the #1 language in the world. There's a reason. And if we started kind of narrowing its use cases and kind of minimizing the amount of tools or places it runs, it wouldn't be as powerful. The fact that you can whip up a script to do something in Excel, or somebody can do something with a microcontroller to control a robot, or somebody can write quant data analysis that makes them millions on the stock market. All of these things are valid. Oh, and guess what? We're also, flying helicopters around on Mars. So,
Yep.
like, the utility of the packaging ecosystem is none of these use cases are going to be exactly the same. The constraints are going to be different, but the important part is we all love using Python to do it. So that's the part that I take away from the complexity in the packaging is there's so much passion about doing whatever we can in the world with Python. So we get some interesting solutions.
Yeah, I like that. Well, this has been awesome. I am writing this test args issue now in hopes that some of my colleagues will see them in the morning as when they wake up in Europe and go, oh yeah, that's a good idea. We should do that. And then also it'll give me more things to work on in this, and I will keep streaming them. But up until this point, we've done what we've set out to do, and I'm gonna go celebrate.
Excellent. Me too. This was fun. Thanks for sharing your stream and being open to having the world watch you code.
I mean, it's if I can do anything, I just want to tell people, even professionals write horrible codes, and I will let you watch me do it. So
we all do it. We all do it.
That's it. That's it right there.
Yep.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Have a good one. See ya.
Take care.